We're going to talk about step one. Step one, becoming powerless over your addiction, right? Surrendering, getting to a point of desperation where you are admitting defeat, where you're broken, where you're finally giving up the fight. You're like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done kicking and screaming and trying to do things my way. This is a hard point for a lot of us to get to, but it's so necessary to do it right off the bat, because if you are not ready, if you are not at a point where you are like, you know what, I'm beat. I'm done. I've played the game. I've tried to win. I've cheated. I've tried to do it this way, tried to do it that way. I'm done. I need some help. Tell me how to live, right? We have to get to this place where we admit defeat to pick it up and start walking in a guided direction. Now the problem is, there's so many layers to admitting our powerlessness, right? One person might say, yeah, I'm powerless over meth. I admit that it's a problem. I can't do it anymore. But, I could still drink and smoke. I could still take some pills sometimes. Until we find out a new layer of powerlessness where we're like, you know what? It doesn't really matter what it is. Whatever I get my hands on, I seem to misuse because I have a powerless problem. You know what I mean? I don't have a meth problem. I got a powerless problem. I went through this myself where it was like opiates were the main problem, and it was like, all right, these are bad, but I don't really have a problem with smoking weed. I don't have a problem with taking these pills sometimes. But anything that I allow myself, anything within my realm of use becomes a problem. When I have options, sure, some substances may be bigger problems than others. But take that one substance away, and I turn whatever I am using into the problem. It becomes the new problem. So getting to this place of complete defeat, powerlessness, and a lot of these program principles, like these 12 steps and these recovery tips, they have fuck that. They don't work unless you're completely sober, unless you're completely clean. Part of me, with my therapist training, with, trying to understand multiple pathways, is like, I always feel this hesitation to be like, well, I mean, for some of you, I don't want to rock your boat. Fuck that. If you're still adding chemicals to your brain, if you're still turning to a substance nonstop to flip switches and change how you feel, this shit's not going to work. You're not going to learn how to sleep in a healthy way and drift off to sleep if you keep using something to go to sleep. You're not going to go through the days and weeks it takes to get through all the ick and all the hard times to get to that place where you can finally just knock right out. So same with anything, all your brain level chemicals, your mood, your just pure intention that goes to like, this is going to solve the problem. That's going to solve the problem. Like you gotta get rid of all that shit. You got to get rid of all that shit. So hopefully you can see like this comes in so many layers, right? There's even more layers than that. You know what I'm saying? Like so many people, they're like, fine, I'm ready to put it all down. I'm ready to put all the drugs down, but I'm not quite ready to do all that stuff everybody's suggesting that I do. I don't need to go to meetings. I don't gotta work the steps. I don't gotta go see a therapist. Whatever it is, because you haven't hit that desperation point yet. You've admitted that meth was the problem, so you quit that. Then you admitted drugs were the problem, so you quit that. Then you admitted alcohol was the problem, so you quit that. But you haven't quite admitted that you were the problem. So and I was one of them, man, where I didn't really see myself going to meetings at first. I have 2 sobriety attempts. One of them lasted a year. No meetings, no steps, no pure abstinence. Still really wanted to use just dry sobriety, where I just put the drugs down and kicked and screamed in my own skin, and it was horrible. The second time around, I was at a new level of desperation in my life, and then I also was just more open-minded to something. Like, I don't know what that is. Like, these meetings. Even the word God made me cringe for a really long time. So I had to go through layers, even in this sobriety attempt, which is still ongoing, of readiness, of powerlessness, of desperation to say, all right, I'm ready to try something new. And I wish it didn't take me going to these points of desperation to get there. But I'm an addict. I'm a human being. I have natural resistances. I'm stubborn, and this is just what I do. Even knowing this about myself, there's still some things I probably, have justified not doing right now, but at some point in my life will be like, damn it, all right, I wish I would have done that sooner. And I'll get there when I get there. It's a process. So, becoming entirely ready and powerless, there's such a fundamental step, because we really cannot take these other steps without admitting that I can't fix everything. I don't have it all under control. The next two steps are about letting go in another way, where you're trying to get, in touch with some type of higher power and turning some things over to that higher power. Really, it says turning your whole life over to it. But, even that comes in waves, but I'll get to that at another time. This main one, this powerlessness, like and they say you got to surrender to win, which is one of the very many recovery paradoxes where, to some of us, it's like, I don't like feeling like a loser. I don't like feeling like I lost. I don't like feeling like defeat. But it's like, it's so weird, because once you finally stop, it's almost like somebody was trying to help you the whole time. It's like, dude, just stop. It's like you're lost, and you're like, oh, I know where I'm going. No, you don't. I'm trying to tell you. No, I got this. It's just one. It's back here. There's one more turn, dude. You ready to stop yet? You ready to stop yet? Come back this way. I know where to go, but you just gotta say you don't know where you're at. That's it. You just gotta say it out loud. And we'll sit there and get even more lost in the woods. So powerlessness. I was definitely powerless over drugs. I didn't have a problem with alcohol at the time. And, part of me was like, I don't know if I need to not, mess with that. But luckily, I got involved with a program where they remind me that alcohol is a drug. And some people that I grew to trust in that program had gone on and experimented. And he's like, hey, I'm right there with you, man. Opiates was my thing. I thought I could drink. I thought it was different. A few years down the road, it turned into a bit of a problem. Then it became unmanageable. Eventually became unmanageable. And guess what? Now I got a new demon on my back that I got to fight off. So it's really the same demon. This disease will literally use whatever it can. If it's not drugs and alcohol, it'll be sex, it'll be food, it'll be controlling your partner, controlling your kid. It'll be something. It just wants to feed. It wants to have its hands on the wheel. It just wants to cause some type of destruction and put you back in that hypnotic state of life. Shit, man, it can do it with video games. Anything that gets you checked out, isolated, and alone, and under the grips and not thinking for yourself and not pushing through discomfort. That's what this disease does, man. This shit's still, it ain't going nowhere. It just doesn't come to me in the form of drugs and alcohol these days. It's not like, oh my God, I want to use. It's like, oh my God, I want to fucking sleep the day away. Oh my God, I want to fucking let loose and, flip shit on my partner. Oh my God, I want to conquer the world. I don't know, but I could tell what the energy is, and I can tell when it's not me and it's not really, moving me in the right direction. But at the same time, us as addicts, we can use these powers for good. There's definitely some things that my addict energy has propelled me towards, like going to meetings and helping people and getting into the career of, psychology and things like that, and going for things in life where I'm like, oh man, I want this, so I'll obsess over it and I'll, find my way to get to it. But I have to do that moderately as well. Moderately. I have to do that with moderation. I have to be mindful of my intentions and my energy. And What does this have to do with powerlessness? Everything. Because I'm powerless over this shit, you know? And powerless doesn't mean helpless. It doesn't mean like, oh, okay, I'm just an addict. I'll always be that way. There's nothing I can do. No, it just means you can't do it all yourself. It means you don't have the power to call the shots. It means you are not so strong with your 2 days sober to go to your buddy's party where all the drugs and alcohol are going to be and not get high. It means you don't have the power to, do it differently now that you've been sober for a couple weeks, couple months, couple years. Now you don't have the power to go back and do it moderately. It means you can't just put the drugs down, walk out and change your life and live a whole new way of life with no new information. That's what it means. But luckily for us, there's a formula. There's things like meetings. There's things like self-help books. There's things like therapists. There's things like sponsorship. There's so many tools out there that we have all the access to everything. Like, you can legit have access to everything. You just got to go get it. Unless you're living in the middle of Zimbabwe with no Wi-Fi, you know what I'm saying? You have access to everything. There's no excuses in 2023. You can get to a meeting. You can get information online. You can download books online. You can watch YouTube videos. There's so much to do, man. And sponsors are free therapists. A sponsor is a free therapist. If you got yourself a good one, somebody to open up to, like, share the load, maybe throw you a couple suggestions, break down what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're thinking. Like, hey, I'm seeing a little bit of that. If you get yourself a good one.